You won't believe the type of future they're building for you and I, folks. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. There's another movie that came out, folks, on Netflix. And this movie, of course, just happened to coincide with something that happened that exactly matches the storyline of the movie. This is the third time in about 3 or 4 years we've seen this occur. And every time it's on Netflix, folks. Every time. Of course, let me remind you about the last time it happened. The last time had to do with a train, of course, going off the rails in a certain particular state called Ohio. You might have remembered that whole thing, and you might have remembered the movie that released right around the exact same time that happened, about the exact same topic, in the exact same state. Might have remembered that, right? And there was one back in 2020 as well. I'm not going to mention that one. I think you might be able to predict what that one was. And of course, now we have a new one. And this was something that I've been talking about. I talked about it even a year ago. And lo and behold, it looks like I might have actually been right, folks. And I'll get into that as we get farther into this video, but it has to do with cyber, of course, hacking and things like that. I talked about a certain country having some of their finest over in Canada, just across from Tacoma, Washington. And it was just so weird how some power, of course, stations just had some cyber issues. Back in, I think it was January this year, and I was like, you know what? Maybe we should keep an eye on CHINA. You know, that one country, China. We should keep an eye on them. And guess what's happening, folks? Yes, it is. It's happening from there. And we didn't see it coming. So I'm going to get into that, actually, and a ton of other things in this video, folks. And there's a movie that just released talking about the exact same thing. And actually, it leads into a world WAR, folks. So we're going to get into this and actually much more as we get into this video. And of course, you might be wondering to yourself, why can't I afford anything these days? It might have something to do with the fact that they printed almost half the USD back in 2020. That might have something to do with it. Of course, you and I didn't get that half of the money being printed. I think if we did, we'd probably get like $100,000 checks. I'm pretty sure it'd be something really ridiculous like that. But of course, we didn't get that, did we? No, we didn't. So obviously, if we only got a few $1,000 checks from the stimulus payments, someone must have got those hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it wasn't you and I, and now we're paying for it with inflation. That's why you can't afford anything. And this, of course, ties into this whole cyber thing. How does it tie in, folks? Well, you remember that bald guy from the World, Economic, of course, Forum. We'll just call him Dr. Evil. You know that movie, Austin Powers with Dr. Evil? He kind of looks like him a little bit. Yeah. So it's Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. He told us these things. He said in a James Bond villain voice, "You will own, of course, nothing. And at the same time, be happy." Folks, you remember that? That's why you can't afford anything, folks. They printed all that money and gave it to themselves. And you and I are paying the bill for it. Now, the next thing is, of course, he said about a year ago, actually it was around the time of those power stations in Washington had issues. He said there will be cyber, of course, hacking and stuff like that. And this will be bigger than 2020. You might have remembered that. I can't do his voice. He's got a really messed up voice. So just pretend I'm making a villain voice there. Yes, so indeed, Dr. Evil here strikes again, folks, from Austin Powers. And this is why Americans are going hungry. I mean, literally. And actually, in reality, believe it or not, you're not even going to believe this, folks. Let me show you this. Almost 40%. Almost 40% of Americans say they've missed a meal just to pay for their housing payment. That's where we're at, folks. You see that? That's interesting, isn't it? I'd say that's pretty interesting. So, of course, you can thank Dr. Evil for that, folks. At any rate, pardon my sarcasm. You can either laugh or you can cry. So I prefer to laugh and just have fun laughing at this stuff, folks, because I don't think it's going to succeed anyways. It may look like it's succeeding, but actually they've already lost in many respects. They've admitted it even 2 years ago. And where they lost is with this WAR in Europe. that was supposed to unseat a certain leader, and it hasn't worked. And that was the entire point of it. They were trying to get rid of a certain person over there. We'll call him the Ruslan leader. I think you know who I'm talking about. Starts with the letter R, a certain country. Yes, indeed. They were trying to unseat that guy so they could regain their overall economic power over the world, because they lost it. They lost it 2 years ago. That's why you have two separate large economies now, East and West. And so they aren't winning. They're still going ahead with their plans, but they're not winning. They're losing in many respects, but they're once again going forward. And we have this movie that came out. It's got Ethan Hawke, Julia Roberts in it. And it was made, or no, it had extensive notes, extensive storyline notes from a former, of course, president. I'll let you guess who it is. Let's just say he's African American, so it'll be pretty easy for you to guess who it is. Yeah. At any rate, he had extensive notes, wanted them to make sure to have all the details from his notes in the movie. I wonder why. But they have this new movie, Ethan Hawke, Julia Roberts. They get they go on vacation to some getaway, some nice, I don't know if it's tropical, just some nice vacation spot at a villa somewhere. And of course, it was double booked. And there was another family there. African American family, of course. I think this guy and maybe this lady, this gal. So it's these two booked over at this villa, and somehow it got double booked, and these guys were there as well, and they're sharing this villa. It's just kind of weird, you know. They're like, what happened? Why did we get double booked, right? And then, of course, as they're there, all of a sudden the power, of course, goes out, and they're watching CNN News, and it says, oh, look, all across America, no power, right? That's what it says. And let's see, and then they're all surprised when they're watching it. I think I have a picture of how they looked when they were watching it. Where did that go? No, that's actually a different screen. Oh, yeah, here we go. So they're actually watching like, whoa, what's going on here? Yeah, so that's apparently the theme of the movie. And, of course, in the movie, then the two families are fighting. And from what I understand, I haven't watched it. And then, of course, it gets worse. And it turns into, from what I understand, a world, WAR, folks. So this is kind of where they want to take it. And that's just so that these people at the top can stay there. That's pretty much what it's all about, it seems like. And so, like I said, we're going to be getting into a ton of stuff. I'm going to get into a number of things I didn't get into in the other video. First of all, I got to mention food supply, 25-year shelf life. Link is in the description for this, folks. 4 weeks worth on sale for $177. It was $195, I believe, before this, if I remember correctly. Link is in the description for that. Definitely on sale. Also, you got 3 months worth. Go get that if you want as well. We also have the giveaway going on. Link below. If you haven't joined, probably your last chance to join, folks. Get over there. Just pause the video. It'll take you about 20 seconds. Autofill your name and email. Click a few buttons. You're set. And you'll get there just in time. And then I'll try to get it out before Christmas to whoever's the winners. There'll be 3 different winners. Link is in the description for that. Of course, also this book here, The Lost Ways, How Your Great-Great-Grandfather Lived Without Electricity, How to Build a Cellar, How to Do Things Around the House Like They Did in the Old Days. Considering the wonderful things they're talking about in this movie on Netflix with Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke, you might want to get that book just in case. Get the printed version, because it ain't going to do you any good if there's no power. Get the printed version. Link is in the description. And when you go to click the printed link, it will say something like about it being digital, but then it'll have shipping. It's actually the digital. And it's not. It's the digital and printed version. It'll be both, because it actually has the shipping cost, so it's actually digital and printed. So, or you can just go straight to the advertisement. There's also an advertisement link below as well if you want to just go watch the whole ad. And then if you don't want to watch the whole ad, you just hit refresh on the page and it'll let you buy right there too. But link below for all that. And of course, also I uploaded some new videos over on my website, GR Videos. And I haven't got them all up yet, but I got some of them up there. I got the new, the full length podcast of me interviewing Natalie over there. Let's get back to the video. So we have also AI going on. We have a number of AI programs being developed. We had one from Sam Altman. I think it was called Q Asterisk, something like that. And that one got him fired because they said it was not a good AI. It was like something we really need to be concerned about. And of course, he got fired, but then he got his job back because a number of employees said they're going to mutiny and follow him to a new place. And they're like, no, okay, we don't want to lose all these employees and Sam Altman, so we'll just hire them all back or keep them or whatever. Now we have another AI that just came out from Project Elman, and it says it takes AI to a new and a little bit creepy level, folks. It says here that it will know everything. It wants to know everything about you, folks. It wants to know everything. So, of course, these wonderful AIs they're creating today just seem to be getting more and more dark, I think is the word I'm looking for. Kind of looking more like what we see in these sci-fi movies like Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Remember that movie? Yes, indeed, folks. That's the direction it seems to be going with some of these AI projects. And I actually have a very important video over on my membership section showing something that a lot of people, I haven't seen anybody talk about it. Actually, I'm probably putting it up today because I actually have it already. I don't think I've actually put it in any categories yet, have I? It's like ready. I can actually put it up like literally this minute, but I'm just trying to get everything else done. Nope, I haven't put it up yet. But it's very important, and it explains exactly it shows you where all this comes from. And at any rate, let's get on to some other things here. So what else do we got? So getting back to this movie with Ethan Hawke and Julia Roberts, like I said, it's always Netflix where these things come out. What's interesting is exactly when this movie came out, something happened. And it came from, of course, China. And it talks about them being able to get into, of course, our important U.S. services with hacking. Okay? And I called this a year ago. And I'll even show you you'll probably remember if you follow my channel. I'll show it to you right now. You might have remembered this picture. Remember this picture? I mentioned how he had these power substations over in Washington, right? And I mentioned how 70 miles away from them, there was a number of China's, I guess, what you would call finest. They were doing training right across in Canada, right there, right across, like 70 miles away from this location in Tacoma. And if you do any research on this topic, they're very proficient in computers. They're actually the number one. I think they're the number one country for hacking. And it just seemed a little strange to me how they were like 70 miles away and all four of these at the same time, were hacked, of course, into. And I was like, maybe it's them? Maybe it's those guys? And of course, now they're saying that we had no clue. Apparently, our wonderful, agencies had no clue of this happening. How did this happen? Dude, I'm a YouTuber. I'm in my basement, okay? All I got is like a computer and some internet, and I figured this out, dude. Like, they got like thousands of employees spend their entire day trying to figure this stuff out, and they can't figure this out, and I figured it out with a computer and internet? Really? Wow. I must be much smarter than I thought I was. Whoa, this is shocking. I figured this out like a year ago, dude. How would they not know this? I mean, if you got thousands of employees that are supposedly super smart figuring this stuff out, how is it they can't figure this out? Right? It's just hilarious. I think they might have known. I'm just guessing, right? I could be wrong. Maybe they're not very smart. I don't know. I guess it's possible. Who knows, right? But the fact of the matter is, they apparently didn't figure it out. They was like, wow, we're shocked. How did they get into all of our systems like this? I can't believe it. So that just happened exactly when this movie came out, folks. Just like the train, of course, going off the rails. The movie came out at the exact same time. It's so ridiculous. And it's always Netflix. It's always Netflix where these things come out. There's one in 2020 it happened just before something else happened. You remember that movie too? That came out just beforehand as well. I think the movie came out in 2019 if I remember correctly. I covered it on my channel way back when. But it's wonderful how it always seems to come out on Netflix. It used to be the Simpsons that would tell us this stuff. Now it's just Netflix just making movies about it beforehand. You're like, let's make a movie about this very specific thing. Wow, it just happened. Oh, I can't believe it. Right after we made the movie. I remember Simpsons used to be where we would go to get this information, right? Right? So what happened? Why is it the Simpsons are not good enough anymore? I don't get it, man. At any rate, so of course, getting back to some of the other things which actually sort of tie into this, 52% more expensive to buy than rent. That's so weird. Why would that be the case? It's almost like he just told us exactly what would happen. Man, Dr. Evil strikes again, folks. Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. He just keeps striking. I don't understand this. 52% more expensive. You will own, of course, nothing. And at the same time, be happy, folks. Yes, indeed. The housing market, now you can't afford a home anymore. What happened? I can't believe it. And of course, if you can't afford your own home, they have a solution for you, folks. And it's a rocket science solution. Homeowners can't pay? Just walk away. More and more borrowers are watching their house values sink while the cost of their loan skyrockets. What to do? And I like in my video over my business channel, I just made a really mocking answer to that. I was like, oh, step 1, don't buy a house. Step 2, stop eating. Step 3, pay your bills. I mean, just really ridiculous answers. And apparently that's what the kind of answers they give. I was reading down in this and it was basically saying pay your bills and stuff like that. So stop eating so you can pay your bills. Come on, man. Just stop eating food and pay your mortgage. That's what you need to do. All right. And then, of course, they've had companies like this pop up. Invitation Home Forms, build to rent team, revamps field division with moves aimed at growth. The creation of a dedicated BTR asset management team to be led by Alicia leverages her extensive real estate expertise to tap into BTR market's potential. So here, let me just show you the really important part. Build to rent. Oh, they don't want you to buy it to live in it and own it anymore. They just want you to rent it, folks. So they're making actual teams to build to rent now. And getting over to some of the stuff I didn't get to on the other channel. I like this guy's shirt. The end. Sounds about right. Well, maybe not quite. I'm actually kind of positive. I think they're not going to succeed this time around. I think they're going to fail. And actually, my next video, I'm going to get into that because there's actually a number of interesting things going on in the stars. Something it's amazing. It's in the Orion constellation, the arm of Orion, which is a hunter. Okay. And it represents Gilgamesh, just is going to be disappearing. An asteroid's going across it and eclipsing it. It's the brightest star almost in the sky, and it's going to be eclipsed, which indicates the arm of Gilgamesh, which is the power of Gilgamesh, is going to be eclipsed. And it's a lot more than that, folks. I'm going to be getting into a ton of stuff, all connected. There's like tons of these predictions. And what it's indicating is that this is kind of like Lucifer's last stand here, folks. Not exactly, but he's trying to pull off something, and I think it's going to basically fail. And you're already seeing cracks in it. It doesn't look good. Don't get me wrong. It looks very not good. But there are cracks. You're already seeing that he's failed in many respects in his plans. And I think he's going to be denied, and I think it's going to turn and just flip, and things are going to go good for a while. I don't know how long, but this is my belief and my hope, even though things don't look like that at this point. Now, of course, getting back, this movie on Netflix, like I said, it was about cyber, of course, things going on. Apparently, lots of that going on right now. ATMs down. We had one country have an evacuation. A number of other things as well. It's kind of ridiculous, all the stuff going on at once, all because of hacking and things like that. And of course, this movie apparently, and I didn't see it. I didn't see it in the movie, but I got to give it to Canadian prep dude here. he called it. He said in this movie there's actually some symbolic stuff in the movie pointing to the number 66 and another 6. So, I mean, tying it right into, Lucifer, of course. Obviously that's not rocket science. It's pretty obvious that's who's behind all of this stuff. But the fact is, this movie's got some rather curious things in it, folks. And I should probably do a breakdown on the movie as well. Maybe I'll do that in the next one with also talking about the Gilgamesh and all that stuff maybe as well. But I'm kind of wondering what some of you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.